going live now.
Just getting my cup of tea ready. Right. Right now on item 8.3, Sustainable Transport Strategy. Susan Rushmere and Sean Mellon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, councillors. Good afternoon. So Suzanne has got family commitments, so she is not able to be here. But the paper is the draft sustainable transport strategy. Has been updated based on the feedback we had from the workshop we had with elected members. I just want to point out there is an error, paragraph 10. The paper was put together pre-COVID-19, so the consultation dates proposed at paragraph 10 talk about 3rd of April to the 15th of May. Those dates should actually read 20 through till the 27th of July. So we've allowed, I guess, a bit longer for the consultation than we would normally do, to allow for the fact that depending on how we do that, a little bit longer, so 6 weeks rather than 4 weeks. Other than that, if I could just take the paper as read and hopefully try and answer any questions.
Right, question time. James Coates.
Thanks, Guru. Look, Sean, thanks to you and your team. I didn't have as much involvement as I wanted in this due to my own personal circumstances and also just the COVID situation. And also when the workshop was held, I was at the Regional Transport Committee in Wellington, ironically. But that being said, I had full confidence in the staff, and in reading through the document, I think it well represents our community and the challenges it faces. I've got a couple of comments or questions that I didn't pick up earlier, and I just wanted to check on them with you. The first one is on page 66 of the report. And it might just be in the layout of the actual document. Are you there now, Sean? Can you see?
Yep.
Under executive summary, it refers to the outcome and vision, and then it goes on to say, therefore, the strategy has established 5 outcomes. And below that, there are 7. The focus area refers to 7 focus areas. And so I'm just wondering, in terms of the layout, how that, you know, are those bullet points meant to be below the focus areas, or? And happy to
they could well be.
Happy to leave that with you.
Yeah, yeah. So I can check back with Susan. If we need to amend it, we can change the layout.
Thank you. And the last one, because I said I think the team have done a fantastic job from what I can see, and looking at the feedback. The second point and the last point that I'd like to make is just around page 84, around the summary of key challenges. And I'm being parochial here, but in the Ōtaki section, it has 2 there, naturally the bus services and choo-choo, the rail connectivity. I would add there the stride and ride sort of shared pathway east-west connectors. It was something that I was a bit aggrieved about, where we had stride and ride in the south of the district, and promise of it in the north, which didn't eventuate. So I think those sort of east-west other modes of transport sort of connectors possibly could go in there.
Sure, I know there has been some work done in that space, and I know that Stu is pulling together I guess a strategy on that, but yeah, happy to include that to ensure then that it can be underpinned with funding if that's available from NZTA. So, yep. Yeah,
that would be fantastic, Sean. And I do know that the team have been working on that, and we've talked about Riverbank Road and others, but I think having it in there would help give clear direction around the priority.
No problem.
That's it from me. Thanks very much to the team.
Thank you. Jocelyn Pravnov.
Oops, you don't want to see my pile of things. Yeah, so thank you very much, Sean and the team, for this. So I just wanted to draw people to the map on page 71, I think it is. So on that page there, it shows you, so it says there's 403 403 Ks of sealed roads, and there's 427 Ks of footpaths. So when I actually did a search on cycleways or footpaths, actually I didn't search on footpaths, but there's actually not really much mentioned on that, whereas that's obviously a key part of our district, and it's a key part. Basically it's something that's very well used. And I'm just wondering whether something, but the strategies, obviously through the advisory group, there's quite a lot of stuff in there about various strategies and about whether something could be added into this document about that.
So what the question was, could we add?
Yeah, so I suppose what I'm saying is that basically we've got all these sealed roads, but we've actually got more footpaths, but cyclists are not included. There's not one word that uses cyclists in this whole document. And so really that, the silent, I suppose, motorisation, or the silent way that people get around is not really included. And it's actually a key component, the way that people do get around in terms of both transport and for leisure. And certainly the sustainability of it as well is also very important. And I suppose the strategy around that would be about, what the aim is in terms of, building more, what the process is about building more, how the interconnectivity and how they relate to, I suppose, the roads as well. Options for people, how they connect to bus routes, that sort of stuff.
Right. So this isn't the delivery plan or the mechanism around delivery of those projects. There is a section in here that talks about pedestrian network, and there's also a section that talks about multimodal transport.
Yeah, but it's not really. There's a lot of cyclists here. So
I was still not quite sure what you were asking us to do.
Yeah, well, I suppose putting something in there about, what our strategies are around, for cycling, or improving. I suppose it's about safety and making it easier for people to do it and to encourage it.
So one of the key areas that's mentioned in here is safety. That's for all road users.
Yeah,
including
I know.
cyclists.
Yeah.
So we could make reference to the CWB strategy if that isn't already in there.
Yeah, well, there is a couple of mentions made of it, but maybe just pulling out one or two of those key points.
Yeah, if you have a look at page 88.
Okay. So I just have to scroll through. God, it's a long way down, isn't it?
So there are a number of bullet points on page 88 that talk about the continued development of cycleway walkway, ensuring a high level of maintenance of the cycleway walkway right-of-way network. There are a number of references on that in that section.
Yeah, I suppose, I was maybe hoping for a bit more in there, but, don't know what other people think about that.
Again, this document is just going out for consultation. So if you'd like us to, if you've got more comments, happy to take those on board offline and look to see if we can beef it up if it isn't already in there.
Yeah, okay.
You happy with that?
Yeah, that's fine, yep.
Sophie Hanford.
Yes, I think I'm unmuted there. Cool. Thank you for that, Sean. And I was actually at a lower carbon carpeting meeting yesterday where Suzanne came and presented. So similar kind of thing to what's been said today. But just around the outcomes, I was wondering whether climate and mitigating the climate crisis could be kind of pulled out a little bit from that environmental focus. Obviously, it does fit within that, but I would like to see more of a focus on emissions reduction in response to the climate crisis, especially when we had a meeting with the Wellington regional climate change working group and found that 57% of our district's emissions are transport related. So that is a huge, huge percentage of our emissions, and something that we should take very seriously. And to see that represented in one of those key outcomes of sustainable transport, I think would be good to kind of tease that out a little bit, if that's possible to do.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I actually thought we did some of the feedback at the workshop we had was talking about that climate change as well as the environmental. So you're happy to have another look at that and see if we can.
Yeah, cool. I did notice it was there, but there were just some points where, for example, the environmental enhancements side of things, I think, specifically mitigating the climate change and mitigating the climate crisis would be good to just make that very specific and clear. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Councillor Elliott.
Thank you. Look, it was just a quick question, Sean, and I did write this question to Suzanne just to give her a heads up. I was just really curious to know why air travel wasn't included in any way, shape or form in the account, in the report.
Yeah, I was aware that you had a question. I think primarily because of our indirect involvement in that area, but we could certainly look to beef up a bit around advocacy within the document with regard to, I guess, both air travel and freight and bus services, those types of things in terms of emissions reduction.
Okay, thank you. And just on that, last triennium, we were asked by our chairs before meetings that if we had any specific questions for staff or report writers, to actually be polite and give them a heads up a few days before the meeting as to what your question was, and it certainly made for shorter and nicely organised, concise meetings. So just a thought going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. He said thank you. Councillor Holbrook.
Sorry, I'm just down to one device. So as this is a draft and we're approving it to go out for public consultation, maybe there's an opportunity kind of 2/3 of the way through that process. It actually says it's going from the 3rd of April to the 15th of May in the report. I was just trying to find the paragraph number. So maybe we need to tweak the dates, or have I got confused about the process somewhere? But if this is going, sorry?
Paragraph 10, sorry, Councillor. You might have missed the start of the paper. Paragraph 10 is not correct. It's going out on the 22nd of June. So there is plenty of time.
Yeah, sorry, my sound's been a bit glitchy. So yeah, that's good. So so maybe we could have just a little tack on to one of our briefings, another little workshop about this, so that we've got a chance to, say we get any feedback, so that we can present that, or if we have any further thoughts, because reworking this strategy now probably isn't such a fruitful way to spend our time at nearly 5 o'clock. Just a suggestion. Also, are the community boards going to have workshops, and maybe we could just tack onto them as elected members?
So we had a workshop where
I remember that.
Yeah, I guess the process that we presented was that we would have that workshop. We would then pull all of those comments into the draft. We would then bring the draft back to this meeting. Then we would go out to consultation. I guess there's no reason why we couldn't take more submissions from the community boards or the councillors through that consultation process, or in advance of it, if you have specific things that you would like, or have issues with what's in the current draft document.
Yeah, let's maybe flag that as an option if enough of us ask for it. But for now, as we're just approving this to go out for consultation, would it be okay if I move the recommendation, Mr. Chair?
If the portfolio holder is not around, you can.
happy to second. If
James, would you want to move this?
Look, I'm happy either way, Guru. We just get cracking.
Okay,
Gwyn's raised his hand. Happy.
Gwyn. Move by Gwyn Compton.
I was just going to say I'm happy to second it from
Well, you got
James.
it the other way around. And
Okay,
seconded by Janet Holbrook.
I will step back to the transport and train aficionados.
Seconded by Councillor Holbrook. Resolution 27. All those in favor, vote you press your buttons.
We have 10 votes yes, and I think Councillor Randall had to leave the meeting.
Right. Keep an eye on those who's leaving, because I think Angela Buswell may. Oh, that's carried. Sorry. Angela Buswell is going to leave at 5. I just want to keep an eye on the quorum. So remaining members don't abandon this meeting.
Right,
Okay,
we're
move on
nearly
to
there. We're nearly there.
Item 8.4, finance report as of 31st March 2020, page 95.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Marty House.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I will, given the time, I'm just going to take the report as read. No introductions from me. I will point out, thank you to Councillor Coots. On page 98, paragraph 18, there is a typo. The year-to-date variance is indeed favourable, not unfavourable. I'd like to move to questions, Mr. Mayor.
We're not going to ask the question about how that happened. Any questions? No. Will somebody move this then? Resolution 89 to 91. Martin Holiday, if you got a question, you're going to move it. Martin, you're going to move it.
Hello, just a question. I did some very questions here, but I'm going to hark back again. Look, in general, I'd like to have a training in this area. I have asked for one before. I can't speak for other councils, but I struggle with some of these formats and the set out, and I want a better understanding of what I'm reading. Would be much appreciated. Derivatives, borrowings, and how it relates to the 166 million net, the debt relationship, paying off debt with pre-funding aspects, and yada, 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 yada.
Okay, can I just do in there, Martin? I think earlier on there was some requests to have a session on that.
Yes.
Yeah, I suppose that could be done offline, not necessarily now.
No, I just wanted to bring it up because the only time I tend to bring it up is at each one of these.
Cool.
Yeah. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Halliday. We're more than aware of your that. We did say that we would do some training in March, and then obviously we had the level 4 lockdown. So I assure you, it's on the list, and we won't disappoint.
No, appreciate that, Mark. That'd be great. Thank you.
Councillor Coates.
Yeah, and look, just to really back the staff there, Martin, I had raised that with Mark during the week as well around pre-funding and the other points that you've raised. And Mark had reassured me again that they had it planned in, and it obviously changed just due to COVID. So it hasn't been forgotten. It's definitely necessary to help everyone understand how we manage our finances. And I imagine will be happening once things go back to normal and we can meet and have a workshop together around it, or a training session. I do have a question just around page 104, or it's actually just more clarification, Mark, if you could just noting there that we had, sorry, I've just lost my page. It was around the Capex budget. From memory, 12 million less than originally planned was spent on there. Could you just talk through that? Because I guess it highlights the pressure around Capex and delivering it within a financial year.
Yeah, sure. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So, page 104 of the agenda, part F, which is our capital spending program. And look, this continues to be a moving target, but certainly what we're flagging in this report is that we're forecasting an underspend of $12 million for our capital work program for the 1920 year. So typically what does happen as we finalise next year's annual plan and as we move to the fourth quarter, we do bring a paper to you seeking your requests to carry money over. Pages 105 and 106 do detail reasons for the carryovers, and you'll see on page 105 there are a number of projects that have been flagged to carry money over for projects that are either in train or haven't yet started and have been delayed due to COVID-19. So in summary, Councillor Coots, we're flagging to you that we won't spend $12 million of this year's Capex program. We will bring another paper at the next finance update, and as part of the annual plan finalisation on the 25th of June, we'll be flagging to you and seeking your permission to carry over this Capex projects this year to next year, because it'll influence next year's annual plan as well.
Thank you, Mark. And one further question. On page 105, there is $38,000 there in regards to the CAC, which I'm assuming is the Coastlands Aquatic Centre, cylinder replacement removable floor. Was that planned a maintenance budget, or is that a failure? I am certainly no expert on that topic, but I do recall we had an issue with the floor within, I think, probably the first couple of years of opening it, and had to spend money on it. So I just really want to understand what's happening there.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, thanks, Councillor Coots. Look, I can't answer that with confidence. So if I could please take that action and come back to you, I'll certainly do that tomorrow, if that's okay.
Look, no rush on that, Mark, and I apologize I hadn't raised it with you in advance. I'd missed that. I'd had it down as a question, so absolutely accept that you'll need to come back to me. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Elliott.
If I'm unmuted, I'm happy to move the fastest fiscal report in the West.
Right. Have we got a seconder? James Coots.
Thanks, Angela.
Okay. I think so. It's been moved by Jackie Elliott. Have I got a seconder as James Coots? It shows up here.
Thank you.
Yep.
Like
Okay,
to move
resolutions 89, 90, 91, moved
yes.
by Councillor Jackie Elliott, seconded by James Coots. Press your yes, no buttons.
We have 10 votes yes, with Councillor Randall not in the room.
Okay, so that's carried. Thank you very much. And on to item 8.5, contracts under delegated authority, page 115. So does someone want to move that? Councillor James Could. Oh. So recommendation 6.
I move recommendation 6 on page 115.
So I got a seconder, Janet Holbrook. So recommendation 6 on page 115, moved by Councillor Coates and seconded by Janet Holbrook. Please press your yes, no button.
We have 9 votes yes. We're just waiting for one more. Or do we have an abstention?
I think Councillor Buswell's
left.
Oh,
Yeah.
so Councillor Buswell's left.
Okay.
9 votes.
So that's carried. Now we're on to 8.6, possible voting in Electra Trust elections 2020. You've got a staff member, anyone speaking on this?
It would be me, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
Kia ora koutou, elected members. I have one small update to make for you all. On page 117 of members' papers, we refer to the number of ICPs belonging to the council and state the number 301. In fact, we have updated information now, and the current number of ICPs, or installation control point, for anyone that's wondering what that means, is 303, which entitles the council to 606.
So does that translate to 303 votes?
606 votes.
It's block voting.
So certainly I'm happy to take the paper as read and can would just, I guess, acknowledge that for the last 6 years at least, the council has chosen not to vote in this, not to exercise its right to vote.
Can I just add some elephant memory to this? It has been contentious in previous years. Simply sometimes council members themselves put their hand up, and Janet Holbrook is smiling there in the corner. So it has been always politically expedient to keep our hands off that. So yeah, anybody else?
So can I haven't got a question. Can I just speak to this just for a minute?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
I don't think I have a conflict because I'm not actually standing this time, even though I'm on the trust board. I just think there aren't any elected members standing this time, and Hora Whenua votes. They use their block vote, and that compounds the issue that though the trust board keeps an eye on things from Paikakariki to Foxton, because it's located in Levin and Hora Whenua use their block vote, there is an automatic advantage in my mind to candidates from the Hora Whenua. So we don't necessarily need geographical spread, but it means that we're not able to, say we know there's a quality candidate standing from Kapiti, as I think there is this time, we're unable to use that knowledge of that candidate to bring that into the democratic process of electing this trust board. So I know for the last 6 years we haven't voted, but in this particular instance, there aren't any people standing. And if we don't exercise our vote and Hora Whenua does, then it can lead to this kind of geographic inequality. Just putting my 6 cents in there.
Point taken.
So I might actually move. Actually, I probably shouldn't because I'm on the trust board.
No,
I'll just leave it.
Yeah, I think you should.
And I'll probably abstain now, but
yeah.
I just thought I'd just give people that background.
Yeah, thank you for the background and you're abstaining. I note that. Any other views? Martin Holiday?
Yeah, look, Jenna, can you clarify how many votes does Hora Whenua have? Well, we've got our 606. How much do they have? Roughly.
Look, I can't answer that exactly, but it's based on how many ICPs they have.
Is there more of us than there is of them?
Probably have about the same as us because, well, they're probably, I don't know.
And I guess, you know, what's the rationale behind us not voting? Has it been sort of a so-called conflict because we've had a councillor who's usually stood in those positions? Is that correct, Meguru?
Well, I think at other times there have been 2 councillors who stood for it. Yeah, it's always been politically contentious.
I think Jackie might have a comment on that.
But having said that, I mean, Janet Holbrook's view is that in this time around there's no councillor standing for it, and she's pitching for Kapiti to have a presence down there so that she doesn't feel too lonely where she sits.
And
but she's abstained anyway, so she's not participating in this anymore.
So if we exercise our right to vote, how much influence do we really put over the vote process?
Well, you got 606 votes.
Well, 606 votes. I mean, I don't know. I mean, is it how many votes are out there? You know, is there like 700 or is there like 7,000?
I think at other times when I've seen this, the block voting is actually significant.
Rightio. Well, I reckon my personal opinion, and then as I think perhaps it's time to exercise that vote so that we can influence in that area.
Jackie Elliott.
Thanks. It's in the past, and I'm going back maybe 4, 5, 6 years. There's been the block voting has represented about 1/3 of returned votes. So as Janet said, you know, and everyone in the Horowhenua Council supports a certain candidate, it's enough to completely nullify all of the public votes. And it's been quite significant. And I'm almost wondering, you know, if we were going to decide not to use our vote, if we make it another recommendation that we actually write to H2 Horowhenua District Council and remind them of the unfairness of them using their block votes continuously to put in their own candidates, in which they have done clearly for decades. You know, we're not beyond writing to other councils and just saying, you know, on the interest of fairness. You know, that's just my suggestion. Otherwise, I am happy with what Janet has suggested about using our block vote this time. However, in the overall interest of fairness, I think it's extremely unfair for a council to use their block voting when we don't actually have any mandate whatsoever from our ratepayers on what their voting preference would be. It's their vote, not actually the council's. And that's how I feel about it. So I think in total, it's completely unfair to block vote. And I would like to move the recommendation that we do not exercise our voting rights.
Okay, so still others, Rob McCann.
Yes. Oops, I would like to support using our block vote. It's quite clear there are 2 candidates in the Horowhenua who will benefit greatly from a block vote. And I don't think, I like Jackie's optimism that we could write to the Horowhenua Council, but I suggest that it wouldn't work asking them not to vote for perhaps their former mayor. It might be a bit too much. And I think we have 2 very, very good candidates who the council would well know and know of their history, who could represent our community. Either of them could represent our community well. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, Jocelyn Gwen Compton.
I was sort of the view when we saw the report that, yeah, we shouldn't block vote, and I take Jackie's point. But yeah, Janet, she raises a very important point, I think. If Horowhenua District Council is block voting and it's potentially going to skew representation towards their neck of the woods, then we do need to consider it. Or I've sort of, along with Rob, I mean, it's very optimistic to think we could write to Horowhenua District Council and negotiate a dente between us. I would imagine it would be the most sensitive negotiations since the strategic arms reductions ones of the 1980s. So I wonder, has anyone had a look at the voting results from previously to see what would happen if we did split, or can we split our votes between the 2 local candidates? Would that be enough to make a difference?
That's not a question I can answer today and would need to get back to you. Sorry.
We're now into election strategy for this, to back our horses.
Right, Jocelyn Probno.
Thank you. I actually think we should use our democratic right to vote, and I also think Horowhenua should as well. We can't stop them from doing that, but I suppose, you know, historically we haven't done it, and the way that this paper is presented is that it hasn't provided us with any background to the 2 local candidates, or even yeah, well, actually even the 4, even though Lindsay and Brendan are well known in Levin. But I'm not even sure how many people we're meant to be voting for. And at least it's just 2. So if I could have clarification around that, please. So how many positions are are vacant. Oh, 2 positions. Okay. So, I know Lindsay Burnell's been on it for years. I don't know whether Brenda Duffy has been on it for years. So my question is, splitting the vote may not be a good thing. And so, we really need to see the CVs of these 2 characters, just to be, open and transparent if we are going to have a vote.
So can I just note that the reason why there's no information about candidates is that this paper today simply asks for your decision on whether to exercise your vote or not. It doesn't cover how you would exercise your vote should you choose to exercise it there.
Okay.
So look, can I,
the council,
at this
we would bring
moment
a
then,
paper back.
can I at this moment then just test the ground by moving that the council exercise its right to vote in the 2020 electoral trust? I'm going to move that as a test to see whether we got support for that. Can I have a seconder? Jocelyn Pravnov. Seconder.
Pravanov, thank you.
Pravanov.
Yeah, long A. Just think of an A, a long thing above the A.
Excuse my accent, madam.
I know, no, that's not you at all. It's
Okay, look, this is
common.
just to test it. That means the council will exercise.
Yeah. So I see that the voting's got to be done. The voting papers have got to be in by the 12th of June, which is not actually that far away.
I can speak to that. That's right, councillor. So what that means is that were you to vote today to exercise or choose today to exercise your right to vote, we would need to bring a paper to the 11th of June council meeting where you chose who to vote for. And I would need to double check that that the votes can be made in half a day essentially, but on the assumption that they can be, that's the time.
Yeah. So I suppose it's checking to see whether it's mail vote or whether it's a post vote, and whether having them postcoded is fine versus I don't know what other means they use.
So okay, we moved and seconded. So
yeah.
Anyone debate on this? Jackie.
Guru, I'd already foreshadowed the recommendation 21 that we not exercise our vote and was waiting for a seconder.
Oh,
I foreshadowed that when I spoke.
Did that lapse because there wasn't a seconder?
No, no one asked for a seconder. I was kind of, well, it was acknowledged.
I didn't register that. Apologies. But it still means it just gets knocked out. We go back to yours.
Well, no, but it's a matter of which way round, isn't it? Because if this one doesn't get knocked out, then then it's successful.
Well, that's right. Automatically, yours will be successful. Your will be successful. So can we just test it and put this up now?
I'd like to
anybody
abstain,
else wants to talk about this? James Coates, you got your hand up.
Guru, I think we just need to move on. Councillor Elliott did signal an intention to move a recommendation. Let's put it, see if there's a seconder. If it lapses for want of a seconder, we put the other one and we move on.
So any other debate on this?
Are you putting Councillor Elliott's forward? Because she did note.
No, if you do that, then you've got to move and then say it is will not exercise this.
I understand that.
I'm quite comfortable either way it goes. It's quite clear cut.
We would have done it by now if you just put her and see if she gets a seconder.
Right. So okay, Jackie Elliott, have you got a seconder? No seconders.
Okay, thanks. That's all I wanted to do.
Thank you. So moved Mayor, seconded Pravnov. That will exercise. Okay. I'm not going to exercise my right to introduce it. Anybody else want to debate this? No. I'm going to put it. Moved by Mayor and seconded by Prav now. Press the buttons.
We have 7 votes yes. Councillor Holborough has abstained, which takes us to 8. And then do we have three councillors that have left?
And Councillor Elliott is abstaining as well.
Councillor Elliott.
Okay.
Voting no.
Carried.
So 7 votes yes, 1 vote no, which takes us to 8. Councillor Holborough has abstained, which is 9. And we have 2 councillors that have left. Councillor Elliott has asked for a division to be called.
Okay.
Okay, the division is those in favour: the Mayor, Councillor Coots, Councillor Compton, Councillor Pravanov, Councillor Halliday, Councillor Haddonford, Councillor McCann, against Councillor Elliott, abstained Councillor Holbrow, absent Councillor Buswell, Councillor Randall.
Okay. Look, we're now on to 8.7 reports, recommendation of standing committees and community boards, page 119. And the resolution is on page 123. Any corrections? No.
No. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So can I move recommendation 17 that the council receives this report? Can I have a seconder? James Coates? James?
Happy to second.
All those, yep, can you just vote on this one, please? Moved by the mayor and seconded by James Coates.
Are we voting now? So we've got 8 votes yes.
Yeah.
And no votes no. We just have 8 votes yes.
Okay, so it's carried. Sorry. Confirmation of minutes. 9.1. Page 124. Any issues with this one? Any changes? This is for the minutes of the Kapiti Coast District Council meeting for Thursday, 14th of May.
Mr. Mayor, I think there's, I think Tim Power needs to speak to this.
Pardon?
Is that Tim?
Sorry.
I'll hear
Can't hear you. What's happening?
Sorry, was I asked to speak?
Tim, is this the space? Is this the space where you need to speak? We're up to the minutes.
Oh, no, I don't think we're going to do anything now, Wayne.
Okay.
The Mayor's going to deal with this in a email to councillors shortly. Sorry about that confusion over that.
There is confusion indeed. Right, can we go back to the recommendations? The minutes of the council meeting of 14th May be accepted as a true and accurate record of the meeting. Can I have somebody move this? Rob McCann moves this. Jackie Elliott seconds this. Can I have your vote, please?
We have 7 votes yes. 8 votes yes.
Okay. So the next item is public speaking time for items not on the agenda. There's nobody there. Confirmation of public excluded meetings, nil. We now, I'll move now to go into public exclusion. Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Jackie Elliott. So moved by the mayor that we go into public exclusion, seconded by Jackie Elliott. All those in favor, press yes.
We have 9 votes yes.
Okay, we are now in public exclusion. Can